It's the biggest piece of legislation Australia's seen since World War II. Rolled out at breakneck speed. $130 billion siphoned via businesses into their workers' wallets, keeping them employed and connected to their workplaces.
We are introducing a $1,500 per fortnight Jobkeeper payment to keep Australians in their jobs, even when the work may dry up.
First, who's eligible? Businesses that turn over less than $1 billion that have lost 30% or more of their revenue. Those who turn over $1 billion or more with revenue cut by at least half. And charities who've lost 15% of turnover. But JobKeeper payments won't start flowing till May, creating a gaping 6-week chasm for employers. To qualify, they have to keep paying wages until payments start. Then they'll be reimbursed, but only if they qualify.
I'm aware of others in the business who are very concerned about cash flow. They'll have great difficulty keeping their employees on.
Business owners are also worried the payments will be a disincentive for workers.
Where shifts are offered and where there is work available, I think that's a very reasonable expectation that it be taken up.
It's confusing and disputes are already turning ugly.
We're getting reports daily from workers who are telling us that their employers saying, yeah, I'll apply for the scheme so long as you give money back to me. So a kickback. Some employers are saying that you now have to work additional hours to get that allowance.
We asked our viewers for their experiences today and were inundated.
My wife's employer simply refuses to put her back on her books.
Trusting an employer to do the right thing is like leaving the fox to take care of the chicken coop.
I am currently in talks with my management over cutting my shifts with no notice.
This is supposed to be an important partnership. We are in a pandemic and employees and employers are supposed to work together at this moment.
While workplace laws were quickly adapted to get the scheme underway, it's a flat $750 per week rate, regardless of your hours or whether you're physically working or not. So while everyone's incredibly grateful for the lifeline, how can employers and workers alike make the unprecedented system work fairly? We have employment expert Patrick Turner from Morris Blackburn here to try and unravel all this for us. Patrick, workers get the flat rate of $750 a week. Is the system right, do you think, to be paying everyone the same amount?
Look, the reason everyone's getting $750 a week is that the scheme is designed to operate on an idea of one in, all in. So if the employer qualifies for the scheme, if the employees are eligible, then they can't pick and choose which employees receive the payment. But the $750 a week works out to be a $10 increase on the minimum wage. So the minimum wage is $740 a week. It's about $39,000 a year. So yes, $750 for everyone who's eligible is, it's not a small chunk of change. I think the estimate was $130 billion, but when you put it into the perspective of what the minimum wage is, hopefully it'll support people through this very difficult time.
Yeah, but it has bizarre results, doesn't it? You could have someone who was a casual working like one shift a week and suddenly they're getting $750, and then someone else who was working effectively full-time and they're on $750 as well, while they're still having to do their original job.
You will have some employees who are receiving more than they previously did. The example is that casual. It's important to remember that what they were earning was not very much in the first place.
One of the things we heard from employees today was that because they're getting that flat rate, that amount of money no matter what, they're having bosses now say that you're required to work more hours than you were before, like more hours than you otherwise would. Can bosses actually force their employees to do that?
Absolutely not. So the JobKeeper laws don't permit bosses to require that workers earn the $750 per week. They can ask them to do different duties. They can ask them to change the location of work. They can't ask you to work more hours.
Patrick, thank you very much for your expertise tonight.
Thank you very much.
The other side of this is the employers, right? And like I find, I was talking to someone who runs a cafe recently and they made a really, really good point, and that is because under the system you have to pay your workers first.
Yeah.
And then you find out if you've qualified and then you get reimbursed.
But you've got no business running, so you've got no cash flow.
So she's saying, well, how am I meant to pay money I don't have to somebody in the hope that I will qualify for something later? No. And if that's the case, how many businesses do you reckon would just say, I'm just not going to get involved, and then their workers ultimately miss out?
A lot. May I have a unpopular opinion? The government's had no time to think about this. You know, I know we're supposed to be, boo, government, they're not doing it right. Like, there are all manner of problems with this system. But at the same time, it's a bit of, take some money so we can get that going and we'll run over and look at this drama. Like, they're putting out a million fires. There's not going to be a perfect solution at this point in time.
I don't think that's an unpopular position at all. I think that's quite a popular position. But the one thing I would say to that is remember that they had to go to Parliament to pass this, and Labor were saying, hey, we can see these problems, maybe we should make some amendments, whatever, and the government didn't really want to talk to them. They basically said, no, this is it, we're going to push it through. So maybe this is one of those cases where politics actually working might have created a better
It's hard, though,
result.
because you're asking employers and employees to work together on something where really they're in the middle, the employees in the middle of trying to work something out, and you're going, but guys, work together, talk it out. And it's like, it's just so much more complicated than
And
that.
you've got people in the same workforce working different hours, and somebody's maybe working 5 hours and getting $750 a week, and other people are busting their butts for, 3 times the hours, and they're thinking, how is this fair? And you can understand why that can kind of breed some
The resentment.
frustration.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's true.